What is up, people, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the new video. Today's video is going to be all about my stretching routine, the stuff that I do to become more flexible, to become more mobile. Because it is a goal of mine to become a lot more flexible, I want to be able to do stuff like the split and all that stuff. And to do that, I am doing a stretching routine for the last few months, and today I thought I would show you. Hope you guys will take something away from this video, and let's get into it. Alright, so before I'm going to talk to you guys about my stretching routine, I do want to mention a few things. First, things that are important for you, things that I do want you guys to know before you're going to be watching this video. So first of all, this is going to be a stretching routine for my lower body. I also do stretch on my upper body on upper body workout days. I might just show that one later. It is a lot shorter and a lot less in depth, but I still do it if you guys are wondering. So also a couple of things that you might want to know. First of all, when do I stretch? I do stretch after every single leg session, and then 2 more extra times in the week. So I do stretch about 3 or 4 times a week. Second thing is, if you guys are stretching and you don't feel the muscle that you're trying to stretch, you're not stretching. All right, stretching should hurt. When you're stretching, you should feel the muscle that you're stretching. You should feel the entire muscle belly stretching out, and it should really get to the point where you're actually really hurting. Now, you also don't want to get injured because you're stretching out too much. So you kind of want to find a balance between, it hurting and actually being effective, and also, not ripping your shit apart. You know what I mean? So also something that you want to keep in mind. Lastly, this stretching routine is based on my personal needs. I have certain muscles that are very, very tight, so I will do more stretches targeting those muscles. And I have certain muscles that are already relatively lengthened, so in that case I will not pay too much attention to those muscles. I will still make sure that I do stretch them out, but I will not place that much emphasis on those muscles as to others. So it is based on my needs, and if you guys have different needs, then you should do a different stretching routine. So that all being said, a little bit of boring talk that just took about 4 minutes. Let's get into the stretching routine. Alright, people, I'm gonna take you guys through my stretching routine right now in the version of a voiceover. I'm just gonna comment on everything that is happening, give you guys things that I might want to tell you guys, things that you have to keep in mind when doing these stretches. Let's get into it. So the first stretch is gonna be a quad stretch. What you want to do, you basically want to kind of sit on your heels, go down as low as you possibly can. When you're doing this, you should feel a ridiculous stretch in your quads. Things to keep in mind here is to keep your legs parallel, keep your weight over your heels, and stretch your quads out. So standing up, moving on to the next stretch. This one is going to be a hamstring stretch. It's going to be the hands to toe stretch. I mean, first of all, I don't know the names of any of these stretches, so excuse me if the names that I give them are not the exact names that they actually are. So this is gonna be the fingers to toes stretch. This is gonna be a hamstring stretch. In the beginning, I didn't touch my toes for the very simple reason that a lot of people will overstretch their lower backs when doing this. So I just keep myself with a neutral lower back to keep as much of attention on my hamstrings as possible. So now we're gonna go into the next stretch. This is gonna be a frog stance. Actually, do know the name for this one. So yeah, this one is actually gonna be quite a weird one. The position that you're in is definitely not as I don't know, nice as you would normally be, but it's a very, 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 very good stretch if you want to open your hips out. So just take the position that I am in. You will feel a massive stretch in your hip area. When you're doing it, also try to tilt your pelvis forwards to absolutely maximize the stretch on your hip area. When you're stretching out hips, always try not to overdo it. It's very easy to tear something up in that area, so stay safe as much as possible. So the next one is going to be a calf stretch. If you're struggling with squat dips, this is definitely one for you. What you want to do is just kind of lean forwards with your knees, go with your knees as far over your toes as possible to stretch out your calf muscles. Again, if you are struggling with your squats, this is definitely one that you want to do. When you're doing this, also try to use your abductors to point your knees out as much as possible to really get the most out of this stretch that you can. Next one, again, we're gonna go back to quads, the exact same stretch that we did in the beginning of this routine. Sit on your heels as much as possible, go down as low as you possibly can. I really feel that stretch in the quad area. As you guys can see on my face, I am definitely feeling the quad stretch. It is a very good one. And it has helped me massively to stretch my quads out. Once you have done your time, you will then lean backwards and then tilt your pelvis back to really get a ridiculous painful stretch. Yes, you can see it on my face. It does not feel good when you do this. The next stretch is gonna be for the hamstrings. So just lean forward in, just take this position, lean in. And you know, with this one, as you guys can see, I do stretch out my lower back quite drastically, but I also feel a lot in my hamstrings when doing this. And once I reach 20 seconds, then I will put my hands out in front of me, try and go as deep as possible for another 20 seconds of stretching. By the way, I do every single stretch for a time of 20 minutes before going into the next one. Doing it that way, I will ensure that I will have about a 60 seconds stretch on all the muscles during this routine. The next one is again going to be for the hips. This is a very good stretch to work your way up towards the split. With this one, go down as low as you can possibly go. When you're doing this, you should feel it ridiculously in your hips. I find this one to be extremely painful. It looks kind of a bit weird. Try and also tense your quads when doing this. I didn't do it as I just see now, but try and tense your quads. Try and put as much pressure on your hips as possible for the duration of the stretch. And once you reach 20 seconds, you will then lean forwards, put your hands on the ground, tilt your pelvis backwards, like with the frog stand, to absolutely rip your hips up, to get a very good stretch in the hips. Really open them up, really get them stretching out. And then again, we're going to do our calf stretch, again the exact same one. Just put your knees out in front of your toes as much as humanly possible. Try to really lean forward, put as much pressure on the calf as humanly possible. Try to stretch out as much as possible. Try to use your abductors again to point your knees out as much as possible. Then the next stretch is going to be again for the hip area. Now we're kind of gonna do a few extra stretches to target the hips more. What you want to do is basically put your heels as close as possible to your body, and then use your elbows to press down on your knees or your legs. Press them down, try to get your knees to touch the ground, and you should feel it in your hips. Alright, the last two stretches of this routine. So the first one is going to be a glute and hamstring and a little bit of a hip stretch. What we're gonna do, one leg in front, one leg behind. Go down as low as possible, trying to stretch out the glute as much as humanly possible. You can do this with your body up or down. When you're doing this one in the gym, you're gonna draw some attention from females, because this definitely makes your glute area stand out a bit more. Then we're gonna go into the last stretch. Obviously I did the previous one on both sides for, as I said, 20 seconds. And the last stretch is going to be again targeting the glutes and the hamstrings. A variation from the fingers to toe stretch. This time you're gonna put one leg in front, one leg behind, and bend over again. This is gonna place a little bit more emphasis on the leg that is behind the other one. Try to again use your abductors to point your knee outwards, and you will feel a very good stretch in your glute and hamstring. So that was the entire stretching routine. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I don't know the names of all the stretches, but I really don't think that makes that big of a difference. You saw me doing the stretches, so you have a very good idea of what it is that I'm doing. For now, I hope you guys took something away from this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe. If you have any suggestions on how to improve my content or things that you want to see, you know the comment section is down there. And I will see you guys in the next video.